Welcome to the Free Game Don D podcast, life, family, and business. Guys, please hit subscribe. Please hit subscribe. Please subscribe to the channel. And please like the video. Today's topic is I want to be an entrepreneur. I want to be an entrepreneur. That sounds cool to even say. Me just saying it just now, it sounded really cool. But what does that even look like? What does that even look like, right? Let's say right now you have a job, but you want to be an entrepreneur, right? So how do you get from being an employee on a job to being an entrepreneur or small business owner? How do you get there?
How do you get there?
First of all, I think you have to really understand what all that's going to entail. And I always tell folks, man, some folks think, well, if I got a job, this is a dead end job. I'm on this job and I hate this job. Listen, man, if you own a job, you take that job and you turn it into what you want. You turn it into your dreams, right? Use that job. Use that job, man. The only way a job becomes a dead end is if you don't do anything with that income, right? If you're doing something with that income to manifest something that you want in business, oh man, that job has served its purpose, right? That job has served its purpose if you're smart enough to do that. The only way jobs become dead end jobs is if you don't do anything except for go to work every day.
Yeah.
So you're going to spend 40 years on this job so you can retire, and that's cool. But if you know deep down inside that there's something greater in you, that you want to be an entrepreneur, that you want to be a small business owner, right? You should be taking that job money and turning it into entrepreneurship money, right? And there's nothing, that's the best time to create something that you control is when you already have a guaranteed income, right? That's the best time to create something else, right? So I always tell folks, I know this stuff looks sexy. Oh, I walked off my job. Listen, man, a lot of these folks, they made some great moves. People don't always give you the whole give you the whole story or the whole recipe, right? Mm-hmm. But most of these folks, they were smart enough to have a 401k, other investments. And when they walked off that job, they had the funds to fund their dream, mm-hmm. right? To take those chances. Listen, taking chances costs money.
Yes.
Taking chances costs money, right?
Mm-hmm.
So guys, I think a lot of folks want to be an entrepreneur. I think they really do. But I always tell folks, man, use your guaranteed income to fund, your dream or your passion, right? And so you wake up every morning to go to work on that job differently. I mean, you're funding your purpose.
Yeah.
Oh man, you wake up with a whole different mindset. Now you're like, man, I'm going in happy every day. I actually love this job now, right? Because this job is taking me to where I want to be.
Yeah.
Right. So you use that job to go where you want to be.
You do. And I think it also gets easier to even show up at that job when you know that you have a plan in place to, build up your small business. You're doing your job, and then as soon as you're off your job, you're putting the same hours that you're putting into your job. If it's an 8-hour job, if you're putting maybe 2-3 hours into your small business afterwards, building a cushion with your earned income from your job and using that to fund your small business. It just makes it easier to get up and go in and deal with the people in the office or on the phones or whatever, because now you realize I don't necessarily need this job. I need it till I get to where I need to be with my small business. And once you reach that point where it's like, okay, I can stay doing this, or now I feel comfortable enough to possibly take that leap of faith and just go all in. When you have options, it's so much easier than I have to do this.
Yeah,
this
man.
Is all I've got,
Yeah, no, shout out to you, Michael, because you're right. I mean, and I always tell folks, man, your first objective is to replace your income from your job. Mm-hmm. So once you decide you want to be a small business owner or entrepreneur, your first objective is to get to a point that you replace your income. And then once you replace your income, Now you're like, okay, I can step away from this job and I can actually scale my business. Guys, you can't scale your business if you're working a 9 to 5 every day, right? But you can get to a point to where you replace your income or you got a comfortable income that allows you to step away from that job, and now you're scaling that business, because it's going to be hard to do all the things needed to do and all the hands you need to shake, all the people you need to meet if you're going to work every day from 9 to 5, because that's peak hours, right? But once you get to a point with your business that you've made a certain amount of money or you've totally replaced whatever your income was, you can step away and you can scale, you can grow, that business to be what you want it to be. But it is a process to it. I tell folks, man, I know entrepreneurship and all this stuff, it looks sexy. It looks like you got all this time. That's the first thing people say. Oh, I want time. Listen, the one thing that you don't have when you become an entrepreneur in the beginning is time. You don't have any time. Nope. You're spending all your time growing your business. So you don't have any time. And if you have a job and you're also starting a business, you definitely don't have any time because you're working double time now. But even when you step away from the job and you're doing the business full time, you still don't have any time because now you're scaling, and that requires a lot out of you, right? So people think that you got all this time. No, time costs and it's expensive, and everybody can't afford it. Time is very, very, very expensive, right? There's people that's going to work right now every single day that wish that they had the time to do other things, but they can't afford that time because time costs, right? So don't be of the illusion. Shout out, social media is a phenomenal tool. It's one of those things where it's good and bad. Social media had you thinking that, all these folks are entrepreneurs, they're doing great, they got all this free time, and that's just not the case, man. Okay. Those first 3 to 5 years, you're literally putting everything you have back into that business, right? And the number one thing you're putting back into that business is time. That's the number one thing you're putting back into that business is time. And you're going to lose people along the way. That's the thing about entrepreneurship. You're going to lose folks on your journey, right? You're going to lose folks when you decide to be all in on your business because they're not going to understand that you don't have time to hang out with them. They're not going to understand that you're not available to do the things you used to do because you're all in on your dreams. You're all in on your passion. You're all in on actually buying your time, right? Anybody can buy a bigger house or a bigger car, but can they buy time, right? Can they buy freedom and flexibility? No, they can't, because that's elusive to most people. But when you can get in a position to be able to buy your time, you want to try to do that because that's really the ultimate goal, to buy time. I mean, but you don't become an entrepreneur and just immediately got all this free time. If you're starting a business and you're in your first couple of years and you got a whole bunch of time, chances are you're probably not that successful, right? Because you're not all in on that business. One of my favorite books is by Grant Cardone, Be Obsessed or Be Average, right? People, if you're just making an average, if you have an average business, you're probably putting in average time, right? And I see it all the time. I mean, I see people who just do the bare minimum and they have a bare minimum business, right? They can't afford, freedom. They can't afford flexibility because they didn't pay the cost, right? You have to pay the cost for this, man. You have to be obsessed, several years, to where you do have that time and that freedom and all that and all the things that people long for. But this notion that I'm gonna be a business owner and I'm gonna have all this free time, it's a lie. It's a lie. It's a myth. You're gonna actually have less time. You have more time when you work a 9 to 5, because at least when you clock out, you're done. As a business owner, you're always on. Yes. You're always on the clock. You're always on the clock. You're just always on because that's just the nature of being a business owner or being an entrepreneur. You're always on. So. And you're always paranoid because sometimes there's things that can change in your industry, things that could change from a legislative perspective that could affect your business. So you're always conscious of these things. You're always conscious of the fact that, that something could happen that could hurt your industry. Right. So you always got to be prepared for these kind of things, man. Like you really have to put in a lot of work to be successful in business, man. So when people tell you that everybody should be an entrepreneur or it's easy or you're going to have all this free time, check their bio because they're probably not doing well at all. Because we got a lot of pretend to be entrepreneurs on social media. You'll see them, they got the professional pictures and all this. I got an LLC, You got everything but a positive bank account for that business. You got everything else though. You know, I got an LLC. I got all the professional pictures. I look phenomenal on social media, you know, but I don't have a profitable business though. Right. So just be careful who you listen to, because there's a lot of folks out here pretending, you know. So being in entrepreneurship is very hard. It's it can be very lonely at times, you know, because a lot of the folks that call themselves your friends, you're going to come to find out that, you know, they don't understand that you're always grinding, that you're always, working, not just physically, but mentally, you're always working.
Mm-hmm. That's true. Yeah, I'm in it. I was. You drew me in, man, because it's so true. And you know, your point with friends and family members and things like that. You know, you will have certain people that they just don't understand your drive. They don't understand why you are so passionate about why you do what you do. They don't understand that you are that obsessed that anything, the slightest thing, can make you start thinking about your business. Oh, that's a good idea. Let me do this. Let me just write that down real quick. Let me do this, you know. And so your mind is always thinking in regards to your business because you want the best for your business. Nobody starts a business for it to fail. Like, that's not what you do. But as long as you're putting your passion and your mind and your spirit and all of that into it, you become obsessed with your business. Oftentimes you will be successful. Now there are people that do fail. There are people that are out there, as Donald likes to say, that's winging it. We all know what happens with that.
Let me speak to that real quick, because I do think that you can be good at something, mm-hmm. but you may not understand how to make it a business and to actually be profitable doing that, right? So you got to be very careful, because sometimes you can just be good at something and you just may be a hustler. And there's nothing wrong with that. Like, you can make some money doing this, but you may not know how to set it up like a real business. Yeah. And you say, what's the difference between a hustler and a business owner? A business owner understands that every transaction is not just one transaction. Mm-hmm. That transaction is going to lead to multiple transactions. So a business owner is going to give you top-notch service because he understands that one transaction is going to compound into many transactions, right? Mm-hmm. Whereas a hustler, he's going from transaction to transaction, and he may or may not give you the best service because he's hustling. Yeah. So he'll hustle you, then he'll go to the next person and hustle them, and that's cool. I mean, that's if that's your thing. But if you're trying to build a business, then every person you deal with has to be dealt with like they're the only client that you have. Yes. Right. And like Michael was saying, people fail in business all the time. Of course, listen, give you some statistics here. 40% of small business owners yield a profit. 40% of small business owners yield a profit. And some of you say, well, how do they know they yield a profit or not? Guys, everybody has to file taxes. When you file taxes and you showing a loss, you didn't yield a profit. You might say, well, yeah, but I actually made a profit, but I told my accountant to just, to write off everything. Okay, that's cool. You didn't make a profit. Okay. Mm-hmm. So 40% of small business owners yield a profit, which means that 60% do not. So 60% of business owners don't yield a profit. 30% break even. 30% break even. And 30% lose money. Right. So these are pretty staggering statistics. So the odds are already against you, to try to be a business owner, right? Statistically speaking, the odds say that you're not going to succeed already, right? But here's the difference between a business owner and someone who may have a dream, but they're afraid to go out here and make that dream come to fruition. The difference is that business owner, that mentality that business owner has, he would rather fail trying than to stay complacent where he is, and never know what he could have been had he just tried. That business owner, he's willing to risk it all just for the opportunity, just to see if he would have made it, right? I mean, he's willing to take that risk. Guys, man, you can't be safe, man. Everybody you see successful in business took chances. They took a lot of risk, and they were willing to risk because that risk was more important to them than staying where they were in that safe zone. right? Like they were willing to, because sometimes you got to compare the two. Like which one of these things would I rather pursue? Is it taking a chance on my dream or just staying safe where I'm at? And most folks would rather just stay safe where they are.
Yeah.
Rather than pursue their dreams, right? Like they just, I'm gonna stay where I am. I'm comfortable here. I don't want to take any chances and mess up anything, right? I mean, and I get it. I mean, hey, I'm gonna be honest with you, man. I think there was a point in my life where I would not have taken chances. Sometimes we get kind of forced into taking chances, right? I mean, and I think about you with your job. I mean, they were trying to. They were cutting your job out and making a lot of changes and not increasing pay and things of this nature. And they kind of force you to make a decision. Like, listen, I'm a bet on Mike Hill. I was in the trucking business. I wanted to scale in trucking, but when you start, that's what I mean by laws, even the government, like in the trucking business, you got EPA laws that change the business. And so it's kind of hard to scale when you have all of this legislation that, that makes it hard for small business owners in trucking to actually grow. You know what I'm saying? So all these things matter in business, right? And so getting kind of moved out of trucking when I realized I couldn't scale and got me into insurance. Sometimes things happen in life that kind of force your hand to go do other things, and you're really thankful for it. You're like, man, had this never happened, I would never really be in this situation, right? And there's probably things happening to you right now in your job. There's probably things happening to you right now where they're cutting back or they're making changes and you can see it coming.
Oh, yeah.
What are you doing to prepare for that? Like, are you investing in yourself? Your job pays you every single week. Take some of that and invest in you. Because entrepreneurship is hard, but if you can start a business while you already have a guaranteed income, it's a whole lot easier.
Yeah.
It's hard. I love working with brokers who already have income. As long as they can commit to certain things, I can help them grow their business, right? You know what I'm saying? Because they can actually learn the business because they're not worried about money as much, right? Because they already have some money coming in, right? But at some point, if they're going to scale that and grow that, yeah, they're probably going to have to make some tough decisions, right? But just merely starting and understanding the business and kind of getting their feet wet, having an income already does help out tremendously. So I always tell folks, if you have a job, man, that's the best time to start a business. That's you're in prime, that's the best time to start a business when you have a job. Use that income and reallocate those funds, invest those funds, man. That's why, investments are important, not just investments in the products and things of that nature, but investment in yourself. Investment in your time and your future and your dreams and things that you want to do. You have, you like to cook. Hey, I got $100,000 a year job. Stop bragging about having that $100,000 a year job until you've taken a portion of that and flipped it into something that you actually control. That's when you can start bragging about it. Like, hey, man, yeah, my job pays me 6 figures, man, but I take 30% of that and I'm investing in XYZ, right? Something that I can control. Right. So it's not easy, but it's very, very, very doable. Very doable. And you can be successful in entrepreneurship once you understand, what you're going to be faced against. Right. Most entrepreneurs do fail and most of them are not profitable. But if you're already making an income, you can most certainly be successful at it. Right.
Yeah. Yeah. Because you're building that cushion the entire time. If you're putting your money aside like you're supposed to, you'll be building that cushion and you're using your regular job to fund your dreams. Okay. So you got to kind of look at it like that. Whenever we're going on, you want to go on a vacation, what do? You go to work, you start putting money to the side. If there's overtime opportunities, you work the overtime and you're putting that money aside for what? My vacation fund. Right? Why can't we do that for our dreams? Why can't we do that for our business that we want to start or the business that we've already kind of started and we're just doing it, just like something that we enjoy doing. But now, goodness, I'm getting a lot of people inquiring about what I'm doing. I think I might want to make this a business. So you have to fund your dreams. It's not going to come out of nowhere. And the easiest and quickest way to get to where you would like to be in terms of entrepreneurship and being able to start your business and sustain it is using the funds that you have coming in already until you have replaced your income and you started to see a profit. That's then when you can kind of start to cut, the umbilical cord, for lack of a better word, and truly embrace, what you have created and see where it goes, but you still have to stay disciplined. You still have to stay obsessed. Even when the success comes, you still have to stay obsessed because it can be short-lived. We've got a lot of people out here with a lot of talent doing a lot of different things, and some of them are doing the same thing as us. So what are you doing to make yourself shine or stand out above the others? And these are the things that you wind up figuring out once you have that stability in place, or you're creating that stability.
Michael, let me say this because anybody that's watching this, you said some great stuff, figuring out, because I think some people, when they see a business owner, they think that, oh man, they already knew everything about business, and they didn't, guys. Mm-hmm. Sometimes you can see a finished product and you think that, man, that's always been a finished product. Guys, it hasn't been.
No.
People like me and my wife, like we're very authentic because we realize that relatability is in the imperfection.
Yes.
So when we see people that act perfect, they can't teach us anything, right? You only learn from people who are imperfect, mm-hmm. and they're willing to share their imperfections with you. Like, we've learned a lot in business, right? All the years I was in trucking, I always showed a loss, right? You know what I'm saying? I'm trying to avoid, I'm trying to avoid taxes, so I always had a loss. And I was more than willing to show a loss, right? But then you start to realize, okay, hold up now. I'm trying to have purchasing power. You can't have purchasing power if you don't have an income, right? So then you start moving a little bit differently, right? All these things are things that you learn. And if you can have someone teach you the game, it can cut down on your learning curve, right? Mm-hmm. But some people, when they get to certain levels, they start thinking, I want to be all perfect. I don't want anybody to know about my flaws. And that's going to get me more respect. But what they don't realize is that nobody wants to talk to anyone who's not relatable. Mm-hmm. And if you don't show your flaws, you're not relatable. So nobody cares what you're doing, right? Exactly. They don't even pay you any attention. Guys, tell you something about business. You can't wing it. You can't wing it. Okay? You just can't wing it. Reading is fundamental. Mm-hmm. I know that that's a tag. Reading is fundamental, but it's real. Most people that you see in business that are successful, they read a lot. Yeah. Everything that you want to know about business is in a book, right? Find you a mentor, find you someone that's doing what you're doing. They don't have to be it doesn't even have to be in the same field, but find someone that's doing it at a level that you respect and talk to them, mm-hmm. right? And they will share with you and they will help you, right? Yeah. People will help you, man. But just understand this about entrepreneurs, man. The difference between you and an entrepreneur is simple. An entrepreneur would rather fail pursuing his dreams than to stay where he currently is. And you'd rather stay where you currently are rather than risk failing in pursuit of your dreams. That's just something that I wrote to myself that I wanted to kind of share, because I do feel like there's people out here that have big dreams, but they'd rather just kind of stay where they are rather than run the risk of failing to pursue their dreams. But an entrepreneur, he's willing to risk it all, because risking it all is better than staying where he is, right? Mm-hmm. And I think I said this one time on social media that in order to go where you want to go, there has to be a departure from where you are. You have to be more comfortable, risking it all than staying where you currently are. And sometimes in life, we're more comfortable staying where we are.
Oh yeah,
than we are with risking it all. And the thing about entrepreneurship, entrepreneurs, they're a whole lot more comfortable risking than staying where they are, right? Mm-hmm. And that's something that you just, you got something that you really want to do that moves you, that wakes you up in the morning, that, that makes you feel alive, man. Listen, man, you get one life, and to live this life and to be alive, it's something that a lot of folks don't get to experience. Yeah. So if you got something that you want to do, you got to do it, and you can't wing it. You're going to need some help. You're going to need a mentor. Be humble enough to ask for help. People will help you. Successful people will help you. Oh, yeah. They will share stuff with you, but you're going to have to ask them. You know, because successful people don't waste words, right? They don't waste words. So if you wanna know how to do something, you got to come to them and you got to ask them, and they will tell you, right? But you have to have a level of humility to understand that there's levels to business,
Yes.
right? There's levels, and even when you get to one level, you're still trying to go to the next. So there's so many levels, right? So ask people, find you a mentor, read books. You can do this.
I'm ready to start a whole nother business now.
I know, right?
Shoot.
I'm excited too, man. So,
Man.
but no, I think during COVID, we saw a lot of folks, everybody want to be an entrepreneur and a business owner. I get it.
Yeah.
But it's so much. You risk a lot. You can do it, but you got to be willing to risk. You got to be willing to take risk, right? But you can do it. So go out here and get it done, man. Go out here and take risk. Live that life, man. You may be waking up in the morning, but are you living? Everybody waking up is not living. So live the life that you want to live. Build that life. Grow that life.
Yes.
All right. Guys, listen, man. This is going to conclude another episode of Free Game Don D. Guys, please hit the subscribe button below and please like the video.
Do it like me.
I don't know why I did that.